Quarterback looks right. Quarterback looks left. Looks right again. Looks left. The Jets can't get a goddamn sack!
J-E-T-S, Jets, Jets, Jets!
Jets can't buy a sack. Jesus. Okay. What are our options moving forward? Okay, I think the biggest fish that we could possibly talk about, let's go into Khalil Mack. 27 years old, 6'3", 250 pounds. Dude is a beast. He's going to be a Hall of Famer. He's got 304 tackles, 48.5 sacks, 9 forced fumbles, 1 interception, and 1 touchdown in his career. He's currently in the last year of his deal. Pros and cons. Obviously, we'd have to trade for him. I don't believe the Raiders are going to do this, but if there was ever a time for the Jets to try and pry him away, it's now while the Jets have a quarterback on a rookie deal. It would probably take us a first-round pick, plus he reportedly wants $22 million a year. That said, if you can get him, 100% all on board. You would have spent that first-round draft pick on a pass rusher most likely anyway, or a left tackle. We really need offensive linemen, but let's say it was spent on a pass rusher. If you were to give him that much money, we have the most amount of cap going into next year, and if there was ever a time to pay a monster salary to a non-quarterback position, it's quarterback on rookie pay scale while also getting to the quarterback on the defensive side. The Jets have ranked 28th and 29th respectively in 2017 and 2016 in sacks across the NFL. So we've been pretty terrible, really since 2005 when we lost John Abraham to the Atlanta Falcons. Lost or traded? Traded, I guess. Not really lost. But yeah, we haven't been able to generate a constant pressure without sending, a exotic blitz or anything crazy in that nature. Likelihood of this happening, I'll put that at a 10% chance. I don't think the Raiders are going to trade him. I think they're going to play hardball with him. He's going to get into camp. He's not going to leave $13.8 million sitting on the table. And then after the season, Raiders should have more cap going into next year. They could re-sign him, or they could use the franchise tag for the next 2 years. I don't think he's going to leave that kind of money on the table regardless. All right. Next up, we have Anthony Barr from the Minnesota Vikings. Really good pass rusher. 26 years old, 6'4", 248 pounds, 283 tackles, 10.5 sacks, 6 forced fumbles, 4 fumble recoveries, 1 interception, and 1 touchdown in his career to date. He's in the 5th year of his contract. The Vikings, because of how they've spent the last year or so, they're very clearly going all in for this year. And they're only set to have, I believe, did I write that down? $6 million in cap next year. Now they can cut some players and free up a little bit of space, but I don't believe they'll have enough space to re-sign a pass rusher. I think that's going to be a really expensive proposition. Trade-wise, I don't believe they're going to trade him in any capacity. I think they're still going all in for this year, and they're going to use all their assets at their disposal because getting a draft pick or a backup quarterback or something like that, which, I guess they're not really going to get. It'd be stupid if they traded for Teddy Bridgewater. That's not going to happen. So I'd put that at a 50% chance of the Jets possibly getting him in 2019. I think since we have all that cap space, I think keeping an eye ahead to the pass rushers that will be available next offseason are something we should probably, something we should probably keep an eye on. All right, so 50% chance of that happening next year. Shane Ray, he's an interesting candidate for a trade. The Broncos have Case Keenum right now. He's been hot and cold, I guess. But the Vikings, the Broncos are primed to go on a potential Super Bowl run. They have the pieces in place. They have the defense. They have pass rushers in Von Miller, and they just drafted Bradley Chubb. With Shane Ray, he had wrist surgery last year, which caused him to miss, I think it was, did I write that down? 8 games. Missed 8 games last year. They didn't exercise his 5th-year option, so he's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. With them having Chubb and Von Miller, they're likely not going to re-sign him. So if we could trade maybe Teddy Bridgewater as a fallback option for them, At quarterback, I think that's an option we should certainly look into. He's had 84 tackles, 13 sacks, 1 forced fumble, 2 fumble recoveries, and 1 touchdown in his career. I will put that at a 50% chance of happening. I think Elway is really bad at drafting quarterbacks, and I think he's not very good at selecting quarterbacks. So maybe he gets a little pressure, from other areas to go out and maybe get a Teddy Bridgewater to compete with Case Keenum and push him a little harder. It'd be a little funny if you saw Case Keenum and Teddy Bridgewater on the same team again after being on the same team in Minnesota last year. So 50% chance of that happening. Who knows? Coin flip. Not really a definitive answer by me, I guess. 50% chance is kind of a cop-out. So we'll move on to my favorite prospect that I think the Jets could pry away, and that's Dante Fowler Jr. He's 24 years old, 6'3", 260 pounds. He was the 3rd overall pick in 2015. 3rd overall pick in 2015. He missed his whole rookie season due to a torn ACL on the first day of minicamp, but he has played the last 2 seasons completely. He's played all 16 games last 2 years. He is suspended the first game of this season for an issue where he stomped on some dude's glasses in a parking lot, I guess last year. But just like Shane Ray, the Jaguars did not exercise his 5th-year option. And the beautiful thing about that is we know he's going to be a free agent, and they're probably not going to re-sign him. I know they have Bortles. They just re-signed him to, I think it was a 3-year deal or whatever. But if you've watched Bortles, you know he's very underwhelming. And I think there's a lot of people sitting around in that room looking at each other, watching Teddy Bridgewater play, looking at each other again. Fuck. We signed Bortles. But I think they could be a prime candidate for a trade. I think it might have to go into the season a little bit and maybe see Bortles kind of falter. I don't know if they'd trade for him right now because it would put the Jaguars in a position of need, I guess. I don't know. But I think the Jets and Jaguars could be good trade partners. I think Teddy, he's from Florida. I think there's a nice story that could be in place with him going back to his home state and having, that bounce back year. I think he is the perfect quarterback to lead a strong defense, a strong running game. He's accurate with the ball. He makes smart decisions. He can make the big time throws if he needs to, but he can lean on his defense and his running game to kind of get him, through the season. With Dante Fowler, 53 tackles, 12 sacks, 2 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and a touchdown. That's pretty rock solid for only having played 2 years. Now that said, that defense is loaded, so he's getting a little bit of help there in terms of not being the main focal point. But I think if he were to come here, pair him with Leonard Williams and hopefully Nathan Shepard, who continues to impress in practice and preseason and whatnot, I think he could be a really good fit for us. And what would be great is if we could trade him, we could franchise him next year to see how he does. It's not going to cost us, all that much. I think it's probably, it's probably somewhere in the $15 to $17 million range, not knowing off the top of my head. But then you can decide if you want to give him that big deal afterwards. Let me know down in the comments. Ooh, percentage-wise. Okay, I give that a 75% chance of happening. That's whatever. Let me know down in the comments what you think. Do you want one of these 4 pass rushers? Do you want us to hold off, wait till free agency to get one? Do you want us to draft one in the first round? Does it come into play with our offensive line? Do you want to spend our first round pick on an offensive lineman instead of a pass rusher? Let me know down below what you think, who you want. As always, guys, go Jets.
Jets!